Hey guys, welcome back. I'm excited to make this video today because I am talking about something that I recently got very passionate about, which is running and just my experience training for a 10K, how I trained for it, and what my advice is for if I were to go back and give myself advice, what that would be. Just talk all things running and just what I've learned so far. So I really don't have a strong running background. I got interested in it a few months ago, maybe about like half a year ago. I was just starting to incorporate a little bit more cardio into my workout routine. I had been weight training for about a year before that. So I had built up a fair amount of strength, I would say, that benefited me while I was doing the training for these races. It was just something I felt like I could put a lot of energy into that excited me. It was a challenge for me, basically starting from scratch, not really being a runner before. I also follow Natacha, Oceane. She was a YouTuber. I think she stopped making videos recently. I had been doing her training programs for the gym, resistance training and strength training for a while, and she had recently come out with a running and strength training program. Since I followed her, I figured that was a good place to start. Kind of took you through, if you're starting out from zero, how to start running, if you know how to run but you want to be able to run a 5K, and then there's a 10K program, half marathon, and then a full marathon program. That's where I started. It took a while to increase my endurance. I remember the first day I ever ran, I wasn't able to run more than like 20 minutes at a time. And then I found out it's probably a combination of my form, not being used to running, and also not having the right shoes. So I invested in kind of like a beginner's pair of running shoes. They're the On Cloud Monster, and I still use them to this day. I use them to run my 10K, and they are really comfortable shoes. I would recommend them to any beginners out there or any shorter distance runs, probably not like a half marathon or a full marathon, but they definitely did the job for my shorter runs. So before I started training for the 10K, I knew I had my work cut out for myself. First, I needed to be able to run 10 minutes, 20 minutes without stopping. I did Natacha's program for just being able to run, I think it was 15 minutes without stopping was the final week for that protocol. And once I did that, I was able to go into the 5K. Then I ran my first 5K after doing the training. And finally, I did the 10K training. I definitely recommend doing the training for it. I almost got ahead of myself, almost was about to skip the 10K training completely and just do the half marathon training or the marathon training. And I'm really glad I didn't do that because it does take a lot out of you, especially if you're just starting to run these distances for the first time. I know when I was doing my 10K training, there were some weeks where just doing the minimum distance or time for that week was hard in and of itself. So I couldn't imagine doing anything above that. I think it's important to gradually increase your capacity over time. And that being said, I also think it's important, something that I found really useful during my training was incorporating strength training in combination with my runs. So I would have one day where I was doing upper body and then one day where I was doing lower body. I found the lower body training especially helpful and important because you need that leg strength. You need also the strength in your joints to be able to propel you forward while you're running. And just to maintain good form, of course, ankle strength, knee strength. You don't want any injuries. If you are not incorporating any strength training while training for a race, it's highly recommended. It will only help you in the long run and make you not only probably a faster runner, and a runner that's able to have more endurance too. The other thing I would recommend is not training too hard. And I know it's really tempting to push yourself hard. You want to be able to run really fast. You want to be the fastest runner. You want to, do the best in the race. But the way that I see it is it's to put it in runner terms, and at risk of sounding cheesy, it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. If you intend on running for a long time, you don't just have 1 year to be a good runner. Hopefully each year you just improve over time. It was a big mindset switch for me. The race day is when you want to be pushing yourself a little bit harder than usual in terms of heart rate zones. That'll usually be a zone 4, and your other practice runs will hopefully fall into the zone 2, upper zone 2 to zone 3 range. And this, like I said, was really hard for me to get into the mindset of doing. I just kept wanting to push myself hard, prove to myself that I could hold, a 9-minute mile pace or 8-minute mile pace. Once I learned about low heart rate training, which Natacha also talks about in the training guide, but I did realize that it would help me to watch some videos to learn more about low heart rate training. So that's what I did. I just learned, what heart rate zone or what range of heart rate would be best for me. So it was really hard to maintain the lower heart rate, and even up to the upper heart rate. I would notice that, going up hills, I had to walk some of the time so that my heart rate wouldn't get too high. It can be a little bit discouraging. My fastest pace that I could keep while in this low heart rate training might be, a 13-minute mile compared to a seasoned runner who could hold a 7-minute or 6-minute mile without really breaking a sweat. So that was a huge mindset shift for me. If you're just starting out on this journey, you're definitely not alone in that. I had many runs, and I still have many runs, where I have to remind myself not to run too fast, to check my heart rate and make sure that I'm running according to my zones that I need to stick to in order to keep my recovery on pace with my training protocol. And I'm interested to hear other thoughts as well. Maybe if you have experience with low heart rate training, talk about your experiences, share them below. I know not everyone learns how to run that way, but I know that it has gained some popularity recently. So interested to hear other people's thoughts on that. And the other thing that I would say that really helped me was knowing how to properly give myself nutrients, how many calories I was taking in, what amount of macros I was taking in too, to be on track with my increased appetite, my increased energy expenditure as I was running more, exercising more. And I know, it's a 10K. It's not like I'm training for a marathon, but it was a huge increase running wise than I was used to. It's really important to refuel appropriately and also to hydrate appropriately as well. Also important is recovery. And part of that can be done before you actually run. So stretching, taking time to stretch just to loosen up your muscles, loosen up your joints, stretching after you run. Other things that have helped me other than stretching is foam rolling. If I just finished a really long run, my muscles usually would be very sore after that. And I found that the foam roller will help get those knots out. It's painful, but it's kind of supposed to be a little bit painful. Just spending, I don't know, like 10-20 minutes a week doing that has been helpful. The sauna is great for recovery too. It loosens up the muscles, it shortens your recovery time. It is also great for sleep. I would also recommend creatine, which I've been taking. It's supposed to shorten the length of your recovery as well. Getting enough protein is something that is also helpful. Another great thing for recovery and building muscle. Lastly, but definitely not least important, would be getting enough sleep while you are increasing your training. I think it is ever more important to make sure that you're sleeping well, going to bed early, and waking up feeling refreshed, so that, especially on those days that you're running, but of course just in general as well for day-to-day life, that you have enough energy to feel like you can have a good run that day. Increasing your training load is really difficult mentally, physically, emotionally, but it's also very exciting and just a great challenge. You can definitely do it, and it is possible. So hopefully that inspires you to maybe not even just run, but just accomplish whatever goals you have. And just let me know if you have any questions about my experience in the comments. It'd also help if you found this helpful, or if you liked this video and the subjects matter, to like it, because it really does help give me an idea for what kinds of videos to make in the future. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!